To every woman who gave too much to a man for love and was betrayed, this story is for you. Just choose you. Your peace is power. Your voice is purpose. It all began with a phone call during the online auditions for the Sing Out Talent Hunt show. A lady named Grace reached out to me. Her voice was full of excitement, but I could sense something holding her back. She spoke passionately about how much she wanted to be part of the show, but her words were laced with fear. As we talked, I began to understand the root of her hesitation: her boyfriend. From everything she said, it became clear that he was insecure. Her progress intimidated him. Her desire to rise made him uncomfortable. Sadly, Grace was deeply in love with him. The kind of love that makes a person forget themselves. She was ready to shrink, to stay in the shadows, just so he could feel like a man. It pained me. I asked for her permission to speak to him directly. She was reluctant, but I promised I wouldn't be confrontational. I assured her that I only wanted to talk, nothing more. Eventually, she agreed. When I called him, he sounded suspicious from the beginning. He asked many questions. Why was I so interested in Grace's participation? What was my motive? I stayed calm and respectful. I explained how much the show could help her career. I spoke about the doors it could open, the exposure, the opportunities. He agreed that she had talent, but still, he said no. He didn't want her to take part. I let it go. Then, a few days later, he called me again. Is registration still open? He asked. I said yes. He didn't say another word. He just ended the call. The next day, he called back and asked for the account details to register someone. I sent them to him and assisted with the process. During the physical auditions, I met the lady he registered. She was vibrant and confident. As we spoke, it became clear they were more than friends. She was his lover. Yes, the same man who told Grace not to sing because he didn't want her to shine had turned around to support another woman. That thing touched me. I picked up my phone and called Grace. I told her I was giving her a free ticket to attend the show. No strings attached. I just wanted her to be there. To see with her own eyes. To witness what she gave up. In the name of love. The day of the Sing Out Talent Hunt show arrived with its usual fanfare. The venue was buzzing with energy, bright lights, eager contestants, and an audience ready to be entertained. Backstage was packed with hopefuls fine-tuning their vocals and calming their nerves. Among them was the lady Grace's boyfriend had registered, the one he had chosen to support while telling Grace to stay hidden. But unknown to him, Grace was there too. She had arrived quietly, sitting alone in the middle row of the audience, clutching the free ticket I had given her. She wore a simple dress, no makeup, no fanfare. But her eyes told 1,000 stories: heart, strength, and the quiet resolve of someone who needed answers. She came not to cause drama. She came to watch. Halfway into the show, Grace's boyfriend walked in with his new girlfriend by his side. He was dressed well, smiling, confident, completely unaware that Grace was seated just a few rows behind him. As they took their seats close to the front, the crowd began to settle. The competition was heating up. Contestants performed one after the other, some hitting every note, others stumbling nervously. Then it was time for the lady he had brought to audition. Her name was called, and he stood up proudly, cheering as she climbed the stage. Grace sat still, her eyes fixed on the scene. The lady sang beautifully. The judges nodded. The crowd applauded. And in that moment, the boyfriend looked so proud, so invested. Grace looked down at her hands. They trembled slightly. After the performance, there was a short break. People got up to stretch, buy drinks, or take photos. I saw Grace stand. Slowly, she walked out to the hallway. Just as she reached the exit, the boyfriend stepped out too, laughing with a friend. And that was when he saw her. His smile vanished instantly. His steps slowed. His eyes widened in disbelief. "Grace," he called, unsure if it was truly her. She turned slowly, calm and composed. "Yes. It's me." There was silence. You could feel the air shift. "I thought you," he started, but couldn't finish. "I know," she replied. "You thought I wouldn't come. That I would stay home like a good girl, waiting for you to come back with stories. But today, I came to see for myself." He looked uncomfortable, glancing around to see if anyone was watching. "Why are you here?" "I needed to see what I gave up for you," she said. "I needed to remind myself what I was willing to sacrifice, just so you could feel big. But now I see it clearly. You were never afraid of me shining. You just didn't want me to shine before you made someone else your star." His mouth opened, but no words came out. Before he could say anything more, Grace turned and walked away, her shoulders straight, her pace steady. She didn't cause a scene. She didn't cry. She simply walked out, with her dignity, her voice, and her dream still intact. And as I watched her leave, I knew that this was not the end of her story. It was only the beginning. 3 months passed after the Sing Out Talent Hunt show, but the echoes of that day still lingered. Grace had walked out of the auditorium with quiet strength, but something inside her had shifted forever. That encounter with her ex-boyfriend was the closure she never asked for but desperately needed. She didn't call him after the show. She didn't try to explain or argue. She simply disappeared from his world. But she didn't disappear from mine. 6 months after the event, Grace sent me a message. She thanked me not just for the ticket, but for allowing her to see the truth with her own eyes. She said she was finally ready to do something for herself. "I want to sing again," she wrote. "Not for competition. Not for anyone's approval. Just for me." I encouraged her. I sent her links to small music showcases and open mic nights around the city. At first, she was hesitant. But little by little, she started showing up. Quietly. Humbly. With her voice and nothing more. One night, I attended a small show at a cozy rooftop bar in Soralia. I hadn't planned to go, but something pulled me there. When I arrived, Grace was already on stage. She was glowing. No fancy dress. No backup dancers. Just a soft spotlight, a microphone, and a voice that held everyone captive. She sang a song she wrote herself, a soul-stirring melody about letting go, healing, and rediscovering your light. When she finished, the crowd was silent for a moment before erupting into applause. Tears welled up in my eyes. She wasn't just singing, she was free. That night, a producer approached her. He had been quietly sitting in a corner, watching. A week later, she was invited to record her first single. Word spread. Slowly, her name began to make its way into conversations. Grace, the girl with the haunting voice and the quiet strength. She got invitations to perform at events, church concerts, and even a live radio session. One afternoon, she called me. "They want me on a radio show," she said, almost in disbelief. "They said people have been requesting my song. Are you ready?" I asked. She laughed. "I was born ready. I just forgot for a while." Meanwhile, her ex-boyfriend faded quietly into the background. The lady he had supported during the competition didn't make it past the semifinals. And though he tried to reach out to Grace afterward, she never responded. Some bridges aren't meant to be rebuilt. Grace is now working on her first EP. She calls it Light Unhidden. I listened to one of the tracks in the studio recently. It started softly, almost like a whisper, then rose into a powerful chorus. In the background, you could hear the echo of her pain, but louder still was the sound of her strength. She once gave up her dream for love. Now she sings from a place of freedom. And the whole world is finally listening. The release of Grace's debut EP, Light Unhidden, shook more than just the local music scene, it stirred hearts across the country. Her story, though unknown to many, was sewn into every lyric, every note, every pause between her verses. Listeners didn't just hear her, they felt her. Within weeks, her lead single, I Almost Forgot Me, started gaining traction on streaming platforms. It wasn't just a song, it was an anthem for every woman who had ever given too much, silenced her dreams, or chosen love over herself. Then came the interview. Grace was invited to a popular television talk show hosted by a woman known for spotlighting female empowerment. The topic of the episode: Loving Yourself Loudly. The studio was filled with an audience of women from all walks of life. When Grace walked in, dressed simply in a white blouse and jeans, the crowd stood and applauded. She wasn't a superstar in the traditional sense, no glittering jewelry, no designer shades. But her presence was undeniable. The host smiled warmly. Grace, your song, I Almost Forgot Me, has touched so many. Can you tell us what inspired it? Grace paused. Her voice was calm but firm. There was a time I thought love meant shrinking so someone else could feel taller. I believed that sacrificing my voice was the price for peace in a relationship. But peace without purpose is just silence. And silence can kill dreams. The audience was silent. Listen. Leaning in. I once gave up an opportunity that could have changed my life. Not because I wasn't ready, but because I was trying to protect the insecurities of someone who should have been clapping for me. That experience taught me a lesson: never confuse control with care. Love should lift you, not limit you. Applause thundered through the studio. Unknown to Grace, someone was watching the show from a quiet corner of a barber shop in her ex-boyfriend. He sat motionless, eyes fixed on the screen, surrounded by men who began to murmur as her story unfolded. "No, oh," one of them muttered. "So this girl was the same Grace we saw on Sing Out." Another added, "And the guy that discouraged her, who does that to someone he claims to love?" The ex-boyfriend said nothing. For the first time, he heard her voice in a way he never had before, unfiltered, powerful, and beyond his reach. A week after the interview, Grace received an anonymous message: "I'm sorry. I didn't know how to love you properly." She didn't reply. Instead, she posted a short clip of herself in the studio, working on a new track titled "You Don't Own My Silence." The caption read, "Forgiveness doesn't mean return. Growth means moving forward even if you once begged someone to walk with you." Grace's journey had come full circle. From being a hidden voice in the shadows of someone else's fear, to becoming a voice that echoed in hearts across Nigeria. She gave up her dream for love once. Now, love for herself is the fire driving her dream. And she's only just getting started. By now, Grace was no longer just an imagined voice, she had become a symbol. A quiet rebellion against all the ways women are told to wait, be patient, or stay small. She didn't scream. She didn't fight dirty. She simply rose. And people noticed. A leading lifestyle magazine named her one of the top 10 voices to watch. She was invited to speak at a Women in Music conference in Abuja. Major brands began reaching out, some for endorsements, others for her to headline their empowerment campaigns. Grace was still the same woman who once cried in silence over a man who didn't believe in her, but now her silence had become strength. Meanwhile, something unexpected was brewing in the background. One of the judges from the Sing Out talent hunt show, a respected music executive, had been following her progress quietly. After watching her TV interview, he reached out. "I watched you walk away from that stage," he said during their meeting. "And now I want to offer you a new one." Grace listened, cautious but curious. "I'm launching a mentorship program for young female artists across Africa. We'll be selecting 3 ambassadors to lead it. I want you to be one of them." Her eyes widened. Me? Yes, Grace. You're not just an artist. You're a story. And the industry needs more women like you ones who've walked through fire and didn't let the flame steal their voice. She accepted. Not out of pride, but out of purpose. As the weeks rolled on, her schedule became packed. From studio sessions to interviews, mentorship meetings to live shows. Yet through it all, Grace remained grounded. She still replied fans personally. Still showed up early. Still carried herself with the humility of someone who knew what it meant to be silenced. Then came the final twist. The producers of the Sing Out Talent Hunt show reached out again. They were planning a reunion concert, where past contestants and notable figures would perform. Grace was on the guest list. She hesitated. That stage had once been a wound. But now, it could be a victory. On the night of the reunion concert, the auditorium was packed. Flashing lights. Cameras everywhere. Familiar faces from the past. And sitting quietly near the back, her ex-boyfriend. Alone. He hadn't been invited. But somehow, he had managed to get in. When Grace stepped on stage, there was a pause. Not from technical delay but from the crowd. The kind of silence that's not empty, but sacred. Everyone knew what this moment meant. Then she sang. Not one of her new commercial hits but a stripped-down acoustic version of I Almost Forgot Me. This time, she added a verse no one had heard before. You said I'd be nothing without you but I found everything when I lost you. You dimmed my fire, but couldn't take my flame. Now I shine, without needing your name. The hall exploded in applause. Some stood. Some cried. Some simply held their breath. Her ex didn't move. He couldn't. He sat frozen in his seat, watching the woman he tried to control become everything he told her she couldn't be. As Grace bowed, the spotlight caught the tears glistening in her eyes. Not tears of pain anymore but of healing. Of strength. Of victory. Backstage, someone asked her, "Do you ever miss him?" She smiled gently. "No. I miss the girl I was before him. But I love the woman I've become because I left." Grace had once given up her dream for love. Now, she sings not just for herself but for every woman who has ever been asked to shrink. And the world is still listening. Months after the reunion concert, Grace's career had blossomed into something no one, even herself, could have predicted. Invitations were pouring in from across the continent: Nairobi, Accra, Kigali, Johannesburg. She was no longer just a Nigerian talent, she had become a continental voice. But with greater light comes deeper shadows. One morning, after a sold-out show in Cape Town, Grace woke up to a message request on her Instagram. The profile had no photo. No name. Just a single message. "Can we talk? I'm not here to disturb your peace. I just need 5 minutes. Please." It was from her ex. Grace stared at the message for a long time, her heart calm, not racing. She didn't feel fear. Or anger. Just clarity. Still, she didn't reply. Later that day, her manager informed her that she had been nominated for Best Female Vocalist at the upcoming Afrosound Music Awards in Ghana. A big deal. The kind of recognition that cemented careers. But that wasn't what got to Grace. What touched her deeply was a handwritten letter she received from a teenage girl named Ifenanya, living in ABA. "I almost gave up on music because my uncle told me it wasn't for girls like me. But then I watched your performance online and read your story. You gave me hope. Please don't stop singing. You are singing for girls like me." That letter reminded Grace why she began again. It was never about proving her ex wrong. It was about reminding herself and others what it means to choose yourself. As the Afrosound Awards approached, buzz filled social media. Grace was a strong contender. Bloggers speculated. Fans voted. Artists congratulated her in advance. Then, on the night of the awards, something unexpected happened. Just before the final category was announced, the host asked the audience to rise for a special tribute. A video began to play clips of Grace performing, mentoring young women, speaking at events, and even singing with school children in a remote village. The narrator said, "Tonight, we honor not just a voice, but a movement. A woman who lost her way once but came back singing. Grace, your light is no longer hidden." The audience gave her a standing ovation before the award was even handed out. She won. As she stood on stage holding the golden microphone trophy, she didn't cry. She didn't stutter. She simply said, "To every woman who gave too much, for too long you can rise. You don't have to fight. Just choose you. Your peace is power. Your voice is purpose." Back home in Lagos, her ex-boyfriend watched the award show from his small living room. Alone. He held his phone in his hand, the unsent message to Grace still open. This time, it said, "You were always more. I was just afraid of your light. I hope the world sees you now the way I should have." He didn't send it. This is only the beginning. As for Grace, she returned to Nigeria and immediately announced a new initiative, the Hidden Light Foundation, a platform offering free music workshops, therapy sessions, and career support for young women battling toxic relationships and emotional setbacks. And when a reporter asked her why she named it Hidden Light, she smiled. "Because I was once a light someone tried to hide. But I refused to stay dim. And now, I want to help others find their switch." Grace once gave up her dream for love. But love for herself gave her a life she never dreamed it possible. And this? The end.